Content warning contains discussion of alt-right, MAGA, misogyny, violent crime, abuse, and racism.
I will respect you if you ever want to actually talk about when white men in the UK were genuinely persecuted.
Hello, my name is Count Bella Pelosi, and would you believe I woke up like this? I know that I probably will not be able to spread the message I need to spread unless I include their name, so time to discuss. The Jaker. So the entity in question is, of course, Jake Munro, a superstar name. So I can understand when you're born with a superstar name, it can make you feel like you have to be some kind of famous superstar yourself. You, could be and could have been if you hadn't chosen the easiest, laziest, griftiest path possible to try and get there and kind of fail. Did she just say clit? You're right. Are you actually serious? But I also genuinely think I've discovered a very horrendous fact is that this entity known as Jake Munro resides in Lisburn, which is not too far from me. Lisburn, it's where I'm from. When you see the police, we all start to run because it's Lisburn. It's where I'm from. The only place on the globe where being a rebel's for fun because it's Lisburn. Jordan Castle, please hit me up for collab. So this is why I'm making this video is because I just want to say openly that if you track Jake Munro's entire posting history, he's an obvious grifter that has... Look, even if you're all right, okay, do you not want to follow somebody that actually believes what you believe? Because I don't believe he believes what you believe. I do believe potentially is very unwell or has a disorder that means they don't really believe fucking anything. They're only posting things that they think will get them clout and they are not really giving a very nuanced, good argument for it. If you want to source better racist content, if you're a racist, okay? One of the more recent videos did use the phrase used by that chud guy who is going to go to prison if he's not already. You can't even be originally racist. There's no point in making a video just ranting because then it'll be like, oh, look how I triggered the libs. Mm-hmm. You could have liberal, like lowercase l beliefs. And also, how are you triggering the libs if we do not live in a country with like the concept of uppercase liberals? Are you actually dumb? These videos are being filmed on the same day, believe it or not. I know you might not be able to tell from my wonderful makeup that it definitely is not cracking. Point number one, I guarantee there is a video saying that certain individuals of a different skin color to yourself are glamorizing knife crime or like responsible for knife crime. And yeah, this was also crazy because you were kind of suggesting that that's like a thing that happens very, very often. Usually it's like inter-community knife crime. You're presenting a very bizarre image of it that's not real, and also you wouldn't know because you haven't lived there in the last year or so. You imply that there is a lot of random knifings on the streets of England or in your head like the UK overall, and it is carried out by people of another race. So they are associated with knives and crime. Why do you have a knife at the bottom of your videos with your like bitch or whatever the hell in it? You're glamorizing knives more than anyone I've ever seen. Like you're quite literally using a knife, a very obvious knife, as a graphic that is part of your overall aesthetic. You said it is statistically very unlikely you would be stabbed by a white man. What country are you talking about, Jake? I mean, stabbed. I don't know. I think a lot of them have maybe been like beaten to death or strangled. But yeah, we have the highest rate of femicide in Europe, Jake. And I think all of them were by white men on white women. And yeah, like the most famous, most horrendous, most recent case did involve a man stabbing a woman multiple times to death. So kind of a crazy, vile statement. There's also part of that video where I think you talk about children getting murdered and play a fart sound. Anyway, to me, a lot of his videos, it seems like comical. Some of the very obvious, like even like the the visual hypocrisies. Okay, so there's that one where he's talking about the dark triad, specifically in relation to women. He actually has a girlfriend apparently, so then that makes me even more confused why he wants to keep talking about them in a way that only would make sense if you didn't have a girlfriend or you'd just been dumped. You low-key suspect he's still talking about the person that broke up with him years and years ago. I understand that was a very long relationship, very bad. At an impressionable time in his life, I get that. But you were horrendously abusive, verbally, and like that's just from people I know that know you. Allegedly. I mean, I just heard from somebody, so I don't know. I didn't see it. But they didn't describe it like abuse. They just said you were horrible and degrading and very impatient and dismissive. Anyway, so that video about narcissists or the dark triad, and like it's about women being evil. He stands in an echoey whitewashed room and he talks about an echo chamber while his voice is echoing. To me, that seems obvious bait for somebody to comment on. So you say you're speaking out against like the matriarchy in alternative subcultures or whatever. Like, I know you mean goth, which in itself has a lot of different subcultures. And I know that you're just a poser anyway. I am not saying that from the point of view that I'm like the ultimate goth. But you literally had at one point like an Instagram or whatever called like the goth reacts, like the goth. I just love the bravery of it. And then again, I'm thinking this is so obviously rage bait because you so obviously were not really a standard traditional goth. Not that anyone could ever claim to be the goth, but you like calling yourself Goth Daddy in that really annoying font that went out of, like, that was, people did that like 10 years ago. Come on. Who called you Goth Daddy? That's very bizarre. It's very bizarre. You know, why would you ever expect your opinion to be taken seriously? You know, you're trying to brand yourself as like this serious voice of reason and you're calling yourself Goth Daddy and you're obviously trying to appeal to women who you hate. Anyway, there's apparently this matriarchy in alternative cultures. Depends what you define a matriarchy by. So there's a matriarchy, but also on one of your Instagram posts you said women will not, like, women have abdicated responsibility, so it's up to men to take it. So what are they? Are they ruling? Are they the dominant force? Are they the ruling matriarchs? Are they in charge? What kind of matriarchy are you specifically describing, Jake? Because they're either in charge and therefore responsible, or they're not. And you know, you're promoting all this. It's just so funny. You're promoting like trad life content, okay? And there were people in your comments saying that they would love to be a stay-at-home mom, okay? Imagine you wait 8 hours of your day and this walks through the door. Only you wouldn't walk through the door because your job is a very like non-traditional, what is masculine? I don't believe in all that. But your job is not a traditional like masculine breadwinner job. I mean, that doesn't necessarily contradict what you're saying, but it's just kind of, why are you promoting stay-at-home mother? You would also be staying at home, so you're not doing... It's so stupid. And then I also, again, think that that's what you're wanting people to bait you on. Right, matriarchy. In the Marxist tradition, it usually refers to a pre-class society where women and men share equally in production and power. Okay, well, I wouldn't agree with that necessarily. But if that was the case, then that's great. Common definition of matriarchy is ruled by women who hold a monopoly or near monopoly on power and dominate society. Some focus more on mothers rather than women collectively governing. Societies led by women while being egalitarian rather than oppressive, as some people would describe a patriarchy. So a matriarchy would not be a very good term to use, Jake. I would suggest you update that if you're going to spread bullshit. At least make the bullshit somewhat coherent beyond like 2 seconds of unpacking and proving it's bullshit. Oh, also made some like really bizarre comment about like women don't go to the front lines and like how would you like it or some nonsense, and it's also like absolutely not true. The casual way he says something like that, when even like getting deployed to the front lines is a war in itself for women. If you look at the amount that get harassed, snide remarks up to literal, very, very graphic, horrendous assault with their own like allies, their comrades, that's like a war they have to fight every day, let alone before they get to the front. Like, Ludmilla, I can't remember her surname, the Russian sniper, like, they're full well. Oh, please tell me he did a Call of Duty Vanguard review. Oh, please. Or was that before you got into this grift? Anyway, there's a bit of free content for you, Jake. Go on about Call of Duty Vanguard being like the most woke, lying, revision, rewriting history to erase the white male. There you go. You probably get a good, well, it depends how many views you want to pay for, Jake. I don't know. The thing that I think inspired this whole video, Jake, was your claim that I'm sure you're doubling down on now, that this country is not safe for white people. This country, which country, Jake? But the UK. I think you actually said specifically in a video that there's white men are being attacked, white men are being eradicated, white men are being, whatever. Let's say white men are being attacked. There's a campaign that the government are allowing white men in this country to be attacked, that they will be eliminated. Are you talking about the Troubles, Jake? Are you talking about systematic discrimination in the place where you live? That, yeah, a lot of white men did unjustly get murdered. I mean, they killed each other unjustly, but it's really bad that there were institutions that specifically tortured, falsely imprisoned, and denied the human rights to a lot of white men. And yeah, they did seem pretty determined to get rid of a lot of white men in this country. Even perhaps to this day, there's still quite a lot of things that go on that maybe are not necessarily just. You're talking about culture wars, while also complaining that everything is about woke and race. I will respect you if you ever want to actually talk about when white men in the UK were genuinely persecuted. But they're just not the type of white men that you care about, and you know that won't get many clicks. I appreciate you did not live your whole life in Northern Ireland, but you're not, you cannot have lived in Belfast, any part of Belfast, and never ever seen a mural or heard someone talk or tune into the video for 15 seconds. You would be aware that there's a history of stuff here. Are you saying that you are so chronically online and obsessed with other countries that you genuinely not even aware what's going on in your own backyard? Because I think that's maybe, concerning. This is not an issue of whether or not you think you're British, Irish, or Northern Irish. It's just kind of bizarre that you live in a place you don't know anything about it, or you don't want to speak on it, or you don't care. Speaking of the prosperous white nation of England, why the hell do you care? You don't live there. I don't think you know that you're manipulating your accent the way you do. I think that is perhaps a trait of certain disorders you may or may not have. I am not a doctor.
How did I end up with this accent? Autism. So,
obviously you moved around. I understand that. There's no way. I do wonder, do you do that accent on purpose so that you can pretend to your American followers or international followers that you're not living in Northern Ireland, and therefore in a very unique place that's kind of, you could very easily say, no, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Because, okay, if you want to say you're part of the UK legally, of course, yeah, whatever, that's a whole thing. You don't live in England, so why do you talk about England? Why do you talk about Sir Keir Starmer as if we have any say in Prime Minister at all? Maybe you want to tell your followers about that. That's a unique angle that you could exploit. But no, you can't use the brain cells, and you don't have the creativity or the imagination to do that, do you? But now you're mentioning you're from Northern Ireland because, I could maybe get, an extra angle here, front line to the latest race riots, after running the whole Henry Novak thing into the ground and reporting quite literally false information, not just about George Floyd, but also completely ignoring other issues and other similar cases that affected people who were Black themselves. You just selective listening, but also deliberate misinformation. It's quite the combo.
Also, I don't want to comment on stuff like this because I want my points as much as I can talk coherently to be straightforward, right? What what can you even say to this? It's just like, if this is the great master race, why are you all fucking so ugly and sitting yapping about, oh, like, there's this gonna be like this fury, and like, like, we're gonna like blah, 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 doing nothing. Like, I could beat you all off. I gotta be quite honest. No, okay, of course you could all fucking physically beat me to death. Whatever. Why would you want to do that though? Like, why do you want to live in this world in your mind? Like, it's just crazy that you want to get upset about nothing. Go build a time machine. If you want to sit and waste your days yapping, go study how to build a time machine and go back to Rhodesia. Can someone, like, if they build the time machine, ask him before he ever sees this video, just to make sure he can't research what Rhodesia is, because I swear he wouldn't even know what that was. I feel like saying Rhodesia is a slur, to be honest. Like, that's how I feel about it. But like, genuinely, that's what you want. Go back there. Go back and get the respect that you know inherently you cannot earn based on your own merits. You have to recreate and reinforce. There's already white supremacy, right? Of course, there's already white supremacy, but like, we're rewinding it to the most intense levels, like British Empire, Victorian era levels. That's what you want to do, because that's the only way you will have a sense of self-worth. Like, that's so depressing. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, just go do anything except that. Go get medication. Like, genuinely get some medication. You need to think about better things going on here. This is what I said at the start. There is no way that people of another race have ever affected his life. I cannot speak for people that are living in very, very multicultural places in England. I personally lived in Birmingham and had absolutely no problem, but I know how people respond when I say that, even the phrase Birmingham. So of course there was violence. Of course there's guys that are creepy. Once or twice there were guys that were white that were creepy. Unfortunately, that's just the dynamic between men and females, or whatever the hell. To me, this is basic common sense. What is the point of this? Like, what is the point of him doing this except to try and farm engagement? And that goes back to my initial point. He is lying to get views. If you want to be a true racist, if you want to be a true believer in white supremacy, you still would not want to watch this man. Massive tangent, sorry.
He retweeted a Tommy Robinson, a Stephen Yaxley Lennon tweet. Stephen Yaxley Lennon, who is messaging Azealia Banks when he's out asking for dick rates, by the way.
Azealia, talk to me, honey. Who's got the shit cock?
And openly did the rally in London. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is a perfectly rational, logical, patriotic reason to turn around and go, I don't know. So yeah, Jake Munro's retweeting Tommy Robinson. I mean, that's kind of like a point in itself that I don't need to really add more to. But it's like, Belfast burning, this is what you asked for. Who set the bus on fire? And then Jake says that he drove through Belfast City Centre recently. I think it's easier to take a bus into Belfast City Centre. If you're driving, it's just a melt. Completely irrelevant, but yes. And he's saying it's like a 1-to-1 ratio of white to black people. No, it's not. You're talking about City Centre, so Royal Avenue, round City Hall, over to, I don't know, Grand Central Station. Last time I was there, and I'm picturing the walkthrough in my head, okay? 1, 2, 3 white people, 4, 5, 6 white people. Miscellaneous person, I'm not 100% sure. 5 more white people, 2 black boys, a black guy and his white friend, 3 more white people, Chinese tourists, so a group of about 5 or 6. 2 more white people, a mixed race person, bus stop with 3 black girls, a white man, 2 white girls walked past, bus driver was black, so the bus driver, those 3 girls, 2 other people, and then 7 other people were white on the bus. And when I got off the bus, there was 2 white people walking the other side of the road, a white person running, and then I was home. I don't know. Someone else can do the proportions on that, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily a 1-to-1 perfect 50-50 ratio. And what if it was? What if it was, babes? What if it was? How did any of those people, white or black, affect my life in any way? Bus driver was black man, very, very nice and friendly. I said I wanted to get off at a stop, and I asked, I stayed on for a stop after, then I went downstairs and I was like, oh, like, I kind of got my stops mixed up. Can I stay on like till the next one? And he was like, oh, this one? Or the one after? And I was like, one after. He's like, yeah, no, it's okay. Like, it's easy done. Oh my goodness. Like, oh, poor white Western woman threatened. So I would rather these white people didn't set buses on fire unless they're going to set a bus on fire to make a protest statement about something like, oh, I don't know, proper mental health services in this country. Also, I didn't even think this point was worth addressing, but yeah, goth is not like for white people. And the funniest thing is, goth is like a white thing. You paint your face white, whatever, to look like a dead white person. So your entire subculture, the reason is, like, I don't think it's the sole reason it's like this, but like it basically is. You're glamorizing looking like a dead white person, like a corpse of a white person. Bela Lugosi Dracula is an undead white man. That's where my majority of it comes from, guys. Every day you glamorize looking like a dead white person. You glamorize the beauty of a dead white face. Have you ever stopped and thought about that? You're promoting dead white people, actually, Jake. You're the enemy of the proud, white, prosperous nation. And also, what have you done to contribute to that proud, white, prosperous nation? Damn the electric company for 5 years. I'll see you on the front lines, Jake. Hope you're well. Please consider getting an evaluation because I feel you're missing out on a much happier life the longer you continue to ignore certain feelings you have and whatever drives you to make content like this. Anyway, I really don't want to ever have to think of you again. I'm only putting this out there in the worry we'll suddenly get a spike because unfortunately local situation is coincide your algorithm. If you want to follow someone who's gothic, who wears makeup, has tattoos, is from Northern Ireland, likes to talk, but is actually smart and good looking, and mostly unproblematic, please follow me. And try not to be an absolute racist. Not to quote J Benzo's P, but get your literal house in order before you criticize the world. I'm going to go put my house in order. Yeah. Go out and enjoy the world. Bye! This music is just until I find my own roundabout for music that I can make big myself. Thank you. Ba-da-da.